Okay, let's do a clap.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Awesome. Fran, so I'm gonna get us in trouble for this. I've gotten in trouble. I've gotten in trouble for this before. I think it was a seafood platter we were having at our friend Jordan's house. So Janet Jackson, singer or no?
I know your answer to this question, and I'm going to say she is a singer. And I'm going to also add that she's not belting. She's not giving you powerhouse.
No, she's pioneered whisper singing.
She
right?
has exactly.
Yeah.
She has, as the girls say, she has many sons. There's so many people who would not have careers if Janet Jackson had not given us that breathy head voice.
Right?
Yes, a number of people.
Yes.
So I say yes.
Okay, and your girl J-Lo. Ooh, J-Lo.
Wow,
Wait, can we just take a second for J-Lo? I mean, I know we had a whole show on
She having a rough time.
Oh, she's having a go. Jokes aside, J-Lo, we hope you're doing all right.
You know what? Here's the thing. I do have my What Would J-Lo Do bracelet on. And I will say that the fact that J-Lo decided to cancel her tour, despite the fact that everyone's clowning her, I'm going to give her credit for it. Because you know what? When you're done, you're done. When you've been defeated, she said we had 10 ticket sales, and so we gonna wrap it up.
But did we see the price of those tickets? Those tickets were crazy.
Exactly. The prices were bonkers. So the answer is no, she is not a singer.
Definitely not a singer.
I'm still inspired because it hasn't stopped her. It hasn't stopped her from
Me too. I mean, she was trying to sell out arenas. So what about your friend Taylor Swift, singer or all?
Child. Now you really trying to get me and you really trying to get us fucked up.
I know we shouldn't. You know what? Skip next.
Let's not say we did.
We were trying to get burnt down. Paula Abdul, singer or not? Come on.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, but
great
she was
dancer,
like, she was giving it to you. Hey,
yes.
She choreographed for Janet, actually?
She did choreograph. She was a great dancer, a great choreographer, wearer of shoulder padded blazers. I mean, pioneer in that department. And the shag cut. The long bangs with the layers.
And the opposites attract, the cartoon guy in the fucking video. Loved it.
Loved that. But a singer, she is not.
No, you're going to be mad at me for this one. SZA, singer or not?
I actually really love SZA's music. I've come around on her as a singer. I'm gonna say, it's hard. It's a really hard.
It's like two notes.
Yeah, it's definitely, I'm gonna say whatever language she's singing in is beautiful.
No, she's not a singer. She's not a singer. She's just saying words on pitch.
Yeah, okay.
I don't even know this person's music, but I was like, we need to include a man in here. Post Malone, is he a singer or not?
No,
I would not.
No, he's sing talking.
He's talking. This is like the genre now. It's speaking
really
on pitch.
Yes, and for him, he's really come around because he started in like rap hip hop, and now he's like come back around to like his whiteness. He's now doing country. They always come back.
I mean, I see Justin Timberlake.
See Miley Cyrus.
Okay, it always comes back around.
Ooh, wait, no.
Listen. Wait.
I hate you for that.
Let me fix it.
Hello and welcome back to Let Me Fix It, the podcast that says whether it was Tutti Frutti or the Hootie, fuck, damn.
And you wrote this one. You set your damn self up. I tried to help you. I was like, let me take some of these syllables out.
What's really fucked up is that, like, I actually practiced it. Ready?
Okay. Let's do it.
Hello and welcome back to Let Me Fix It, the podcast that says whether it's Tutti Frutti or the Blowfish and their Hootie, all the cool kids got their music at Sam Goody. I'm DeLon Grant. I'm an actor, a singer, a photographer, a writer, and an educator.
And I'm Francesca Ramsey. I'm an actress, a producer, writer, and graphic designer. And DeLon, today's episode about Sam Goody really hits that nostalgic music chord for me because it takes me back to my youth when I was spending all my little Blockbuster coins for CDs.
Same. I spent so much of my Burger King money on singles, which, class, if you don't remember, singles, right?
Yes.
Right? Singles
Love
was one song that you would buy from the album. And it would usually have like 4 tracks on a cassette tape or a CD.
Oh, yeah, just different versions of the same song over and over again.
Yes. It would have like the original version, a remix, an instrumental track.
And then the radio edit that the curse words weren't in there.
So fucking funny. But it would be like one song off of the full album. It was so funny.
What about the bonus track? You remember how many albums had a hidden song?
Oh, the hidden bonus track.
If you let the CD keep playing, God, we sound so fucking old. Back in my day, when you bought a CD, it came with a bonus track. And it was always one that you would either find out about from your friends or you would be just playing the CD. And you'd be like, what's all this dead air? And then all of a sudden, Alanis is like, hi. Alanis had a great, Alanis's...
I don't know Alanis's bonus track.
She had a secret song on Jagged Little Pill. It was called Uninvited. And it's just her singing a cappella. And it's a great...
God, yes, Uninvited. I totally know the song.
It's a great song.
Yes.
And I don't know why I have in my mind that she's in like a shower singing. Maybe it's because it's got this like big echo. But I found the song because I just let the CD keep playing. And then there it was. And it's so funny too, because like I love talking about music with you because that's the thing that I feel like really solidified our friendship in those early years.
It's so true in so many ways. And like we have very eclectic different tastes, but we actually have like a lot of the like similar tastes, right? And we discovered them over the years. One of the memories I have is us in freshman year in between classes, and we started like totally cooing over Rufus Wainwright's song Cigarettes and Chocolate Milk.
You do cigarettes and chocolate milk.
Yo, I listened to this album. It's still so good. It's still so good.
I mean, an absolute classic. And there's so many music moments from our college days that I will never forget. We did talk about this one on the very first episode of Let Me Fix It about acting school when we were cracking up over Miss Janet Jackson, the song from Nutty Professor. And we were honestly, it was like we were high. We were laughing so fucking hard.
But the point still stands. I mean,
what is she saying?
35% of the words don't make sense. Don't make sense.
She's hitting the notes. She's hitting those notes. But the enunciation.
Whisper sing. Whisper sing.
Whisper singing, but I'm also going to say the mush mouth. The mush mouth she pioneered. Because
Ariana Grande, you would not have a career without Janet.
I was about to say the mush mouth would not have the standing that it does if it hadn't been for Janet. She helped us get here.
And whether you were listening to like classical music on NPR growing up in your house or your parents bumping them Temptations, right? Music was like, it's just like a benchmark of like time and where you're from and how you grew up. Fran, what was the soundtrack growing up for you in your house? Do you have one?
Oh yeah, I mean lots of Motown.
Motown.
My dad was a big music head. My dad cannot carry a tune, but don't tell him that. Don't tell him, because Frankie thinks he can sing, and he would always like sing the songs to me as if he would
be like.
What is it about dads?
Yes.
What is it? He would sing to me. He would sing "Papa Was a Rolling Stone," and he would like do these points as if he was talking about his dad. And I'm like, Dad, your dad was not a Rolling Stone, but okay. He's like, and when he died, all he left us was alone. And I was like, but that's not how it happened. I know it didn't.
I am so not going to be a father. Well, I don't know that. Not going to. I don't know.
You could.
I could be a father. Maybe I might be a father. I don't know
You
about it.
might.
Could be. Never had sex with a woman though. But I will be that dad. I will be that dad singing, and to the point where you're like, dude, I get the point. You really like this song. You want me
Yeah.
to engage, but like, stop, leave me alone. I will
Stop
be that dad.
pantomiming and spinning around. You grabbing a spatula and singing into it and doing a two-step. Like, enough. We get it.
Hilarious.
So, class, if you're unfamiliar or you don't quite recall, today's episode is about Sam Goody, and they were one of the biggest music retailers of the 20th century. The company sold the physical music media that we now consider vintage.
Crazy.
Vinyls, which, you know what, we can all agree a vinyl is
vintage.
Okay.
Yes.
Back in the day when they called them LPs, they also sold 8-tracks, cassette tapes, CDs, and they even sold the very first MP3 players. They also sold VHS tapes, DVDs, video games, comic books, and posters. Sam said, I'm doing it all.
Okay.
Sam Goody was the intersection between music artists and their fans for generations.
So what the heck happened? How did Sam Goody, a company that existed for over 70 years, go from everything, everywhere, all at once to, girl, you don't go to hit and went bankrupt? Fran and I are about to dig into the history, its rise, its downfall, and then we will pitch our fix for how Sam Goody might succeed today. So let's dig in. Sam Goody, let me fix it.
So Sam Goody was founded in 1951 by Samuel Goody Gudowitz. By Samuel Goody Gudowitz. Goody was his childhood nickname, and it just stuck. Now, as the lore goes, Mr. Goody got the idea to become a music retailer in 1938 when a customer came into the toy and novelty shop that Goody owned in Lower Manhattan looking for records. Now, Goody did not sell records in the shop, but he had recently stumbled upon a bunch of old records in the basement of his apartment building. Now, Goody, he's like, I found these. There's no name on them. Finders keepers.
Okay, well, it's also like serendipity. The idea that like he found them and like some guy walks in one day. Like it's just like
do you know how much junk I found that has not spawned a business? Class, I hope you're taking notes.
Do you know how much junk I have in here? That you know what I mean?
So the customer told Goody that he'd be willing to pay upwards of $1 for older records, and $1 converts to about $21 today in today's money. Goody traded the superintendent a beer for the records in the basement, and then he sold them for $25, which is roughly $530 to $550 in today's money. So once again, one man's trash is another man's $550.
It's so true. Like that's really nuts to me. I mean, that's also because they had like penny candy, right?
Yeah.
And like dime candy and stuff like that. So it makes sense. So Goody said, I'm a hustler, baby. And he made this thing into a whole business. He's actually quoted saying, this is a beautiful business. What am I doing wasting my time with toys and novelties? Once he turned that initial profit, Sam Goody Gudowitz was hooked. One of his other big deals was buying 300 old opera records for $60 from this family and selling it for $1,100.
Wow.
Come on, Sam.
Wow.
Come on, Sam.
Yeah.
Sam saw the writing on the wall and went on to close his toy and novelty shop and open a record shop. Now, I found this really interesting. Initially, a small portion of Goody's retail sales came from the record shop. He pioneered discount mail order sales, which young broke college students were happy to take advantage of, and that is actually where a lot of his sales came from. It also made him a bit of a household name.
Now, that discount was a boss-ass move, but it really pissed off his competitors. One complained, what does Goody pay for his product to be able to sell it for less than I can buy it? In fact, Sam Goody was one of the first music retailers to cut prices. In the 1950s, when records were going for about $3.98 a piece, Goody was selling them for $3.25. Now, that sounds like a Goody deal to me. He had another promotion that boosted the company's profile even more. Okay, This is a little bit of a history lesson class, but you know we love history on this show. So let's dive in. It's very interesting. In 1948, Columbia Records introduced the LP, the long play record. I did not know that that's what it stood for.
I know.
It would be the first record that can hold an entire album or concert performance. 78s, the standard bearer of the time, could only hold 3, 5, or 8 minutes per side, depending on the size. 78s, sorry, my nose is like, I'm getting a little allergy.
No,
78s came in 10, 12, or 21 inches. She's a size queen. Okay, pull out the tape measurer.
Okay.
Now, these long play records were 12 inches and could hold 22 minutes per side. Seeing the writing on the wall, yet again, Sam Goody bet on LPs. His next big promotion was giving away record players that were better equipped to play these new LPs to every customer who spent $25 in his store. That is so freaking smart.
It's so smart. And like, you know, like it's a big task to give something away, but you're just like creating more customers, right?
I can only imagine how much money that cost him though. Because like if the records were not cheap, I know the record player was not cheap. So then to give them away to every customer, I mean, again, it's one of those things where class, take notes. You got to invest in your business, but it's a risk. I mean, again, he's betting on LPs, but he's risking spending his money giving away product essentially in order to build the brand.
You got to spend money to make money though, right?
That's the truth.
And just for context, class, in 1948, $25 was roughly between 300 and 300. In 1948, $25 was roughly between $300 and $325. Now, if you're keeping track, that's down from $550 in 1938, which is crazy. Inflation has been kicking our asses for generations. That's a $200 difference. Yeah. But it's still $25. It's crazy. I don't understand economics, but it sounds crazy. The point is that spending $300 to $325. The point is that spending $300 to $325 was not an insignificant amount of money for the average American, but getting a free record player, say less, right? I think it's like, to our point, just like a brilliant marketing strategy. Not only do you incentivize the customer, but it promotes goodwill with them. And in the end, Sam Goody ended up giving away 40,000 free record players, which, to your point, friend, definitely came at a loss to the company. But he's quoted saying, that meant 40,000 more customers.
Wow.
And the logic is sound, right? He's banking not only on the goodwill, but also if you have a record player, you're going to buy more records.
Yeah,
right?
That's something I hadn't really thought about, because we're so used to, man, when we had CDs, you had to have a CD player, but like every car had a CD player. You know what I mean? And even like if you had a DVD player, sometimes I think you could put CDs in a DVD player, or you put them in your laptop,
I had a
right?
DVD player. Yeah, I had a DVD player that played CDs. Yep.
Yeah, and same with tapes. Like I feel like tape players were, I mean, I remember them not being super expensive, but it does feel like when we're looking back in time, a record player was probably a huge luxury. So again, you're not going to move product if people don't have record players. Genius.
Yeah. Well, and I also I forgot what I was going to say. Damn, I was listening too hard. The logic, and listen, it worked out for Sam Goody. Goody's flagship store in Manhattan was said to have had upwards of 4,000 customers a day. And in 1955, the company sold 7% of the LPs in the country and grossed $4 million. So slaying it. You know what I smell? I smell a fall coming, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like,
it's going so well. It's going so well.
I mean, if they're on this podcast, then yes. The turn is coming. Now, Delon, these days, Sam Goody, the mall-centric music store that you and I remember growing up with, is only associated with Sam Goody, the person, in name. In 1976, is it Gudowitz? Am I saying it wrong?
Gudowitz, yeah.
Gudowitz. In 1976, Gudowitz sold Sam Goody to one of his biggest competitors, Musicland, which had a foothold in shopping malls. And get this, Samuel Gudowitz sold his extremely successful 26-store empire, earning $60 million in sales to Musicland for a mere $5.5 million, which seems listen,
That
I've
makes
never
sense.
been rich. I don't.
Can't wait. Can't
I
wait
can't
to
can't
be.
tell you what $1 million looks like, feels like, smells like, sounds like. But if the company is worth 60 million, why you only sell it for 5.5?
5.5. Right?
Okay, but according to Godowitz, he said that he gave the company away for cheap because of his sons, Howard and Barry. They loved each other then and they still do, but they competed with each other on everything, and soon even the help was taking sides. I could only see them breaking it all apart, so I sold the company. Now wait a second.
Wow. Wow. He
Your
said,
daddy said, fuck both of y'all.
well, and the altruism there is vast, but I would still be like, I want my money.
They're gonna fight over the 5.5 million too, but he's like, at least it'll be less money for that. Is wild. I would be
It's crazy.
so pissed.
I
Like
would
y'all
be-
couldn't put your shit aside just to get some of your family's fortune. You had to
Yeah,
fight
I'm
over
trying to-
everything.
I'm trying to have a trust fund. You hear me?
The rich
I'm looking
kids
for a
don't
guy
know.
in finance.
Wait a second. I cannot with you making a TikTok reference. I'm throwing my non-existent hair over my shoulders. I'm taking credit for that one.
Yeah, it is all you. That is all you. But here's the thing. Samuel Gutowitz got out just in time because, friend, not 3 years later, the company would be sued in a major antitrust lawsuit by the Justice Department.
Wait a second. Sam Godowitz, you need to give me the lotto numbers or something because you see the future.
Okay.
How does he know?
He has I don't know who he sold his soul to, but
He has a sixth
yes,
sense.
something.
Oh my God.
So the company denied the charge, but it allegedly had been selling counterfeit cassette tapes and 8 tracks valuing upwards of $1 million. So that's how he was cutting prices.
Oh.
Okay, everything was a counterfeit.
Wait a second. What is a counterfeit cassette tape?
I feel like it's just like, remember when we used to go up to the cassette tape and wait for the radio to play this song? So you record it. Yeah, I guess they were just dubbing it. They were just dubbing it instead of them actually being the cassette tape.
That is so funny. Not Goody competing with the guys selling tapes out of the back of their trunk.
Wait, but literally, where they got them from was the back of a truck in New Jersey.
Oh my God, that is
Yeah.
so funny.
It's crazy. So Sam Goody, the company, and Senior Vice President Samuel Stolten would plead no contest. Sam Goody, the company, and the Senior Vice President Samuel Stolten would go on to plead no contest. The company was fined $10,000, and Stolten was sentenced to a year in prison.
Wow.
I know. Not to be suspicious, but to be suspicious. Did Samuel Godowitz sell the company because of his sons, or again, was he just seeing some kind of fortune? Right?
No, he knew.
He knew what was happening. He knew what was happening.
Listen, Delon, I think you clocked it when you said those low prices. That's why he got those low prices.
Mhm.
And he said, let me take this money while I can. And I wouldn't be surprised if he crunched the numbers and figured out that the 5.5 million was like enough to keep him from like being named in the suit or something.
Ooh.
Do you know what I mean? Because like if he had made more money, maybe they would have like tied it together with him or so. I mean, again, I don't know, but rich people are really good when it comes to cutting corners and staying rich. So I bet he knew.
Donald Trump.
He knew. And isn't that some shit? If this motherfucker got a year and Donald Trump does not, I would be like, come on.
for dubbing some cassette tapes?
For dubbing a cassette tape. All right. Well, I think you and we both agree that he must have had a genie in a bottle with some wishes, a leprechaun, a 4-leaf clover or something, because the luck was just too much for it to not be suspicious.
Too coincidental.
Exactly. Class, another thing that we discovered in our research is that in the 90s and 2000s, before American Idol was a thing, Sam Goody was hosting a Battle of the Bands type contest called Bandemonium. Now, you know I love a portmanteau.
Okay.
Good job, Sam.
Well done.
He was showcasing unsigned bands that the company found In showcasing unsigned bands, the company found another way to promote its stores to young people and evolve into a bit of a tastemaker in the music industry.
I see. Talk about that's also Let Me Fix It, right? That's like taking your
Mm-hmm.
business and expanding it. Just want to give you credit there, Sam Goody.
Yeah.
So, what happens next? The company begins to get tossed around in a bit of acquisition hot potato. So, in 2000, Best Buy bought the company for a whopping $425 million. But that was just as the sale of physical media CDs, cassette tapes were about to take a steep nosedive because we were all getting iPods
Streaming.
and
Yeah.
streaming and Napster.
Yeah.
And in 2006, Best Buy sold the company to Trans World Entertainment. In 2006, Best Buy sold the company to Trans World Entertainment, which would convert all but one of the Sam Goodies into FYEs, which was another music store, which I vaguely
For
remember.
your entertainment, I
Oh, is
think
that what
is
it
the
was?
yeah, yeah. I don't
Oh,
know why I remember that.
and the very last Sam Goody was closed on Halloween in 2012 in San Diego, California. The only reason they kept that one, Fran, was because they had a huge sign out front, and it would cost too much money to like demo the sign, to demolition sign. So they just were like, we're gonna keep this one open for a while.
That is so funny.
So dumb. As for FYEs, Trans World Entertainment sold that retail chain to Suncoast Records in 2020 after posting a $50 million loss. Sunrise Records is a record store chain in Canada.
Now that we've gone over the rise and fall of Sam Goody, it's time for us to fix it. But first, let's take a quick break. And we are back. Delon, do you mind if I go first?
Not at all.
Okay, so I feel like this is kind of a no-brainer, but I feel like Sam Goody should, especially because the original Sam Goody was so good at like predicting the future, despite
Mm.
even like, the shadiness of him getting out of the business before they were sued. He was really good with like the LPs of it all, right? So what if they came out with an app and the app was called Oldies But Goodies,
Mm.
and it recommends classic music artists based on music that you already love.
Oh.
So instead of like almost like a Shazam but backwards. So like you like this song, okay, well then you probably would love Earth, Wind, and Fire. You would probably love like all of these classic artists that maybe
Mm-hmm.
were influential to that artist. And then it would give you the ability to like find out when they have concerts or
Mm.
download their albums and stuff like that. I mean, it's one of those things where we think of apps now as being very tied to smartphones, but I did my research and Spotify was founded in 2006. Like they
Really?
absolutely, yeah, and Shazam was around that time too. So I feel like that would have been really, really smart. And again,
Mm.
brand the Goody name, but also like corner a different part of the market. Like don't just be a regular streamer, be something that's like actually recommending artists.
I like that too because do you know those like infomercials late at night on like PBS or like but late at night on any major channel where they would have like the Earth, Wind and Fire greatest hits and like
Collection, yeah.
collection and it's like their DVDs, their all of their concerts and that could be something really cool that app could do, right?
Hmm.
It's cornering that market of like here's all of these other artists that are related to Earth, Wind, and Fire, or the Jackson Five, Motown, right? Or even classical music. Like there, what
Hmm.
are like old classical opera that people might not be interested in,
Yeah. I
but
mean,
either
yeah, I don't know any of that stuff, but I will say I remember there used to be a website called All Music Guide, and that was how I found a lot
Mm.
of the musicians that I ended up recommending to you back in college or listening to, because when you looked up an artist, it showed all of their influences. And I would just work backwards from
Oh.
artists that I liked and go find who their influences were, or you could find out who they've collabed with. Like it would break
Mm.
down the whole album and it would show like different music producers they had worked with. And I would just click on the producer and I'd be like, what else have they worked on? And
Oh
that's how I would
wow.
find new stuff to listen to.
I bet you that site's still around. I bet you
It
she's still
probably
kicking.
is. I'm going
Why
to do a
wouldn't it be?
Google. All music.
Yeah. I kind of do that when I produce a little bit. I kind of just like find a thing that works and
Hmm.
then look for the same thing in the BPM and just kind of try to stack on top of each other and see what works.
Yeah.
It was a complete non sequitur thought.
What's your
so
fix?
yeah. So why didn't Sam Goody ever get into concert promoting? Like hold a Sam
Mm.
Goody music festival, right? Like, listen, I don't know what it is to concert promote. I don't know if that even is it's a moneymaker or not.
Hmm.
After watching the Fire documentary, I don't think it's gonna go well.
And
Or the
homeboy is still out here kicking and trying taking people's
pimpin,
money.
pimpin. I'm like, how? Only white people,
I
only white man, only
literally,
white man.
literally.
So my pitch for Sam Goody is to bring back the band with a music festival. Coachella, Burning Man, sure, but
Hmm.
let's to your apps point. Let's tap into the nostalgia of we elder millennials, the Gen Xers, right? And bring back the Alanis Morissettes. Bring back
Hmm.
like the Boys to Men, right? Like have a big concert of like the music that was big bopping in the '90s and early aughts in the
The
2000s.
goodies.
The Goodies, yes, it could be
Yeah.
called the Goodies. That's a
Yeah.
great name for it.
Yeah.
It would have to end by 10 p.m. because,
That is so shady, but
because
also yes.
yes, but we would live, right? We would live.
Honestly, if
Um,
you promoted a concert that started at 7 and ended at 10, we would be in there like
all day.
fucking swimwear. We
All
absolutely
day.
would.
All
Yeah.
day. The other part of that thing is like, we love a fucking convention in our older
Hmm.
age. We love like a TED talk, right? We love, so like
Mm.
have like a Goody Con, like a Sam Goody Con. So it could be like, instead of being outside in the sun, it's in like an air conditioned, hall that the festival's in, right? It's a convention center, you know what I mean? So it's comfort. We're in hotels, we're not camping. Like
Hmm.
that's the kind of situation I think we would need. But I think they should have gotten in. They could get into music festivals. I don't know why they shouldn't tap into us and our market.
I'm dying at all of the creature comforts that you're pitching for millennials specifically. Air conditioning,
Yes, girl.
ending early. I would throw in some refreshments, some snacks, the
Yes.
little food truck
A
situation,
food
healthy options,
truck.
a salad bar.
You never met a salad bar you liked, though. You've never met a salad bar you liked.
No, but I'm just saying, like, healthy. Here's my thing. When I go to like concerts and festivals, there's never a healthy option there.
No, it's a hot
And
dog.
that's
It's a
not going
foot
to say I'm
long.
going to pick. If there is a healthy option, doesn't mean I'm going to pick it.
Or that
But I
part.
feel like it should. I feel like I just want to see a healthy option and go, I can. You know what? I can do that, and then
I
not do
could
it.
do that. Yeah. I have that choice, right?
Yes, I will also say a mocktail,
She loves a mock.
situation. I
She
love.
loves a mock.
I love a mocktail.
Put some fruit and some herbs in the drink and some water, and she's
A
happy.
little ginger.
Okay, now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, the glow up, where we give props to those who have turned themselves around without our help. Friend, do you mind if I go this first?
Sure,
on this one?
please.
So this might sound weird, but I'm giving it to James Baldwin. So, class, if
Okay.
you don't know who James Baldwin is, James Baldwin was a writer, intellectual, in the mid 20th century, Black, queer. It's also Pride Month, so there's that. I'm giving it to somebody gay. But I feel like I see him on social media and like these like really poignant quotes that he had at some point. And it's every situation. It's when Roe v. Wade came down. It's James Baldwin saying all these things about women.
Yeah.
And the Israeli Hamas war, all these things that James Baldwin said, right?
Yeah.
So he has all of these quotes that I think are so timely that have just come back up. And I feel like a lot of people might not know who he is. I didn't discover who he was fulsomely until like sophomore year of college when I found one of my favorite books, Giovanni's Room. He's also written Fire Next Time. I'm looking at it right here. He's also If Beale Street Could Talk, which was made into a movie by Brendan Jenkins. So like he's really prolific, but I feel like we just don't know. I Am Not Your Negro is actually a documentary everyone should watch based on his life, which is also really good. I think it was nominated for an Oscar too. But we're just now discovering him. It's been like 10 years of us being like, oh my God, who's this person and his work? But I see his ass on social media all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I would also say just talking about him as a queer icon too, I feel like is something that only in recent years I've seen more people talking about his queer identity
Yeah.
in a way that like I didn't remember people talking about that. Not to say that it was ever a secret, but I do think you're right. It feels like he's getting well-deserved props in recent
Yeah.
years that, again, I don't know what has spawned it, but I do think it says a lot about his intelligence and like the breadth of his writing, that he does have so many quotes that can continuously be used to this day into relevant times and things that are going on in the world.
Well, I do feel like good writing, good art to me is when you're able to take something that is a maybe innocuous or just part of the human experience, and you and I might not have words for it. We'll like dance around, but a writer will have two sentences and you go, that's it. That's exactly what that feeling is. That's exactly what that moment is. And so it makes sense that James Baldwin would have like these like kind of like really small sound bites, even because there's a lot of him on TV, clips on talk shows, in black and white. The other thing I want to say about him too is in connection to Bayard Rustin, who was I think I'm saying that right.
Oh
Bayard
yeah,
Rustin.
that's the movie with Coleman I don't know,
Coleman Domingo.
Yeah, Coleman Domingo is playing him. It's a Netflix movie, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I
He
haven't
was
seen
nominated
it.
for an Oscar, was it? No.
I mean, he was nominated for
He was
something.
nominated for something. So Bayard Rustin was a huge part of the civil rights movement, as James Baldwin was adjacent. And this is kind of me surmising. I have no evidence to back this up, but it just seems to me that like a James Baldwin who's very outspoken, intelligent, black, queer, Bayard Rustin, who's very outspoken, intelligent, black, queer, both proactive people. I wonder if like the world in the 50s, the world in the 50s just didn't know what to do with these black queer people.
No.
And so I think now we're discovering them, because even like the black community was like, you can be over here, just keep the queer shit down.
Yeah.
Don't talk about the gay shit.
Yeah.
And then rest of America was like, oh, you're black and you're gay? Right? So I feel like now they're just getting their flowers and their cookies, you know?
Oh, no, it's totally true. And how apt to celebrate them in Pride Month.
Right,
so,
right.
yeah.
What's your glow today?
My glow up goes to saying how you actually feel. And I have found this to be true for myself, but for everyone, because correct me if I'm wrong, Delon, it feels as if when you say to someone, how are you doing? More people are like, well, not great.
It's the ellipse. Well,
when I tell you, I used to feel so like apprehensive about it. I remember when I was going through my divorce, so this was 2019, I really struggled with people asking me how I was doing. And I had to work with my therapist to come up with like a standard response, because people would ask me and I would just feel like I was going to fall apart, you know, and I felt like I couldn't actually say how I was feeling, because then people would be like, why? You seem so good. And blah, blah, blah. Like, that's always like the standard when you say like, I don't know, I'm having a hard time. Too often in the past, I felt like people were like, no, what are you talking about? You're doing great. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you I'm not doing great.
I'm literally saying I'm struggling right
I'm
here.
literally saying I'm struggling. And you're like, no, whatever. And so like, I shied away from it. And so I would come up with a standard, you know, boilerplate response. Versus now, I feel like any single time I run into someone, or I had coffee recently with a new friend, she and I met through a mutual friend, and we were like, let's go to coffee, let's get together. I don't know this girl from Eve, Adam, whoever. And so our first time really hanging out, she's like, how are you doing? And I was just like, you know, I don't know. And she was like, oh, I get it. Me too. And I was like, oh my God, like, thank God I don't have to pretend like everything's going great.
Yes.
And you like, you know, invalidate my feelings by being like, you're doing great. But I have had this conversation with multiple friends, strangers, girl in the grocery store that's like, you know, checking me out. And she's like, oh, where's your little dog? And I'm like, oh God, he's going through a thing with his paw. She's like, yeah, I know my dog. I'd put my dog down. I was like, never in my life would I expect the lady in the grocery line to be like, yeah, my dog, she's 14 years old and she had a heart murmur and now I had to put her down.
I just love that, like, she's your woman at the lady's like a cigarette smoker who's like, yeah.
She told me literally her dog's whole medical
Damn.
history, just
Damn.
violating the pup's privacy all up in the Super
Got a
A. And
HIPAA
I was
violation.
HIPAA where? And I was like, yes, I totally get it. And it just feels like, especially with everything that's happening in the world and like inflation and the upcoming election and like everything, everyone is just like, I don't know. It's just, and like, post the double strikes, a lot of the people that I'm talking to are industry people. And even when it's like someone that at face value, I would think successful, doing it, killing it, every single time I'm like, how are things? They're like, and I not that I'm happy we're all in this place, but I really appreciate that more people, myself included, feel like we can just be honest about where we're at.
I hear you. And I do think it's so many things. It is like there are so many things happening at once. I think starting with the pandemic, because we're still not over that, I think it just like the cup runneth over. I can't pretend anymore. And if I pretend, I'll actually like be like, I'll be saying that I'm okay, crying, right?
No,
I don't have the bandwidth for it anymore. I actually just have to say how I'm feeling out. And I will say, maybe it's some therapy. Maybe it's us all just being a little more aware and a little more connected to our feelings, you know? I'll also chalk it up to the age thing, because at 40, it's only been a few months, but I'm literally like,
I mean, has it been a few months? Because we rolling up on 41.
I need you to stop right now. I need you to stop right now.
Is it?
Or 12.
I think you've been in this bitch for a minute.
Let me have my delusion. But I care less. I care less about things. I care. Obviously, I'm insecure, imposter syndrome, I'm human, right? All those very, very human things. But I legit am like, I don't care about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Or
you don't have to pretend anymore.
Yeah. And one of my favorite things, Francesca, is to go, I'm leaving. I don't want to be here. And I'm leaving. People go, is everything okay? And I'm like, no, everything's fine. I just don't want to be here. Goodbye.
You know me. That's one thing. One thing Francesca will do is leave or not show up or just not go. Let's be like, you know what?
Couldn't make it.
I'm just not going to go. And I'm not going to... in years past, I would make up an excuse, right? I would be like,
I haven't gotten over that. I'm still making up excuses.
I have an early morning tomorrow. I have a I have whatever. And now I had some friends that were going out for karaoke the other day or the other night. And we were on a big group chat, and the group chat was, and I was like, I really don't want to go. And I really don't want to be in this group chat anymore. And I just said, hey, listen, guys, I'm not going to make it tonight. I am really tired. And that's the truth. And I just can't go.
And doesn't it feel good? It feels so good to do that.
Yeah. And I think to your point about it being like this stage of our lives, in my experience, your friends that are in that same age group, like they all get it. They're all like, yeah, girl, I'm exhausted too. I'm dragging my ass to this thing. Or I'll show up and I'll say, I'm doing an hour. And then I'm going to go. And people aren't like, no, stay. They're like, I get it, girl. I'm ready to go too.
Especially when you have like a 30, 40-minute commute to and fro. Like that's an hour and change, right?
No. And it's so funny because I still have some friends who are like diehard partiers. Listen, Sham and I went out the other night together. Sham was like, I'm staying an hour. I was like, no, I know you. You're not staying an hour. Me? I'm gonna go home. This bitch got home at 2:00 in the morning. You're older than I am. How are you doing this? How are you doing this? I'm down for the count the next day.
Yeah, me today from hanging out. Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
So, giving yourself space to say, like, I can't take this on. I'm not really feeling great. I've had some times where the Writers Guild has like these little get-togethers and stuff. And I was one on my calendar. I was really looking forward to it. I had some friends I was going to meet up with. I was having a rough day. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go because I know it's going to be a bunch of writers talking about how fucking depressed they are post the strike. And I don't need that. I'm just
Yeah.
not going to fucking go.
Yeah.
I would rather stay home on my couch and have me time than the thing of like the real honest answer is like, no, I'm not doing great. I'm really stressed about money. I'm stressed about my career. I don't really know like what I'm doing with my life,
Right.
whatever. Everyone's 27. I don't want to have that conversation.
Right.
I don't want to have it. So I'm just not going to do it.
You're going to leave the thing and still feel even worse about your situation, right? So why even go?
So why even go? I just could have stayed home. And I just shout out to everyone who's giving themselves space to do that. Because I do feel like I'm not the only one.
You are not.
And I'm really glad that more people are honoring their feelings and being truthful about where they're at. Because for all of my frustrations and for all of my, anxiety and uncertainty, it has helped me feel a little bit better knowing I'm not the only one. Even somebody who is quote unquote more successful than me or whatever it might be, knowing like, oh, this is just a weird time for everyone. It's not due to any fault of my own, like has helped take the pressure off. So that's my glow up.
I love that. That's a good glow up. So we want to hear from you, class, as we always do. Would you have sold your $60 million company for $5 million because your sons never learned how to share? Or would you like to suggest a TV show, celeb, brand we should fix in the future? Hit us up on Instagram at FixItPod or email us at Lemme. Hit us up on Instagram at FixItPod or email us lemmefixitpod@gmail.com.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to give us a rating over on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, or your favorite podcast app. So many great reviews are coming in over on iTunes. We are reading them. So thank you for your support. It means so much. I'm Francesca.
I'm Delon. And this
was
Let Me Fix
It.
Our eyes, our face.
We were right up.
Yeah,
we were right together.
That's hilarious.
Oh, I love it.
The internet was working.
Oh, synced up like a period.